Alright guys, so what we're doing here, I recorded earlier an intro, but I didn't have my microphone turned on. I've been having some mic problems of late. But I've got this little knife that I made for my, the first Damascus knife I ever made. It's a 144 layer Damascus. And it's the only knife I have left that I've made, other than the current one that I'm working on for my brother. But what we decided to do is send this to my niece in Colorado. She loved the knife. It's 9. I started out with 9 layers of 3 different types of steel. I stretched out some 5160 leaf spring and made some little billets out of that. We cut some round saw blade and some bandsaw blade. So I had 9 layers. We drew that out, cut it, folded it, made 18 layers. Drew that out, cut it, folded it, made 36 layers. Drew that out again, cut it, folded it, made 72. Drew it out again, cut the billet in half, and did it again one more time. Forge welded it a final time for 144 layers. So I'm just, what we're doing here is we're just resharpening it. I've been using it around for sort of a utility knife, and so we want to put a new edge on it. And we're going to run the buffer a little bit and clean it up. And what you're seeing me do there is I just used, I think it was a 120 grit belt, and kind of put a new edge on it. Now we're switching to a 400 grit, and I'm just going to do a little bit of touch up on it. And I believe here in a little bit we'll be switching to the Trivac belt and really polish that edge and get rid of the burrs. So I apologize that I made sure the mic was on the camera and everything, because I had to switch to my boom mic. Been using the lapel mic, but we had problems with it when I was prepping the ceiling in the shop for paint. 2/3 of the videos I took didn't have any sound. I put new batteries in it and what have you, and I just didn't have any sound. And so until we figure out what was going on with that lapel mic, I've put the boom mic back on the camera. But in this instant, of course, I forgot to turn on the mic, so we're having to do a little voiceover here. This is now we're going to put the Trivac belt on, which I believe this one is about a 1200 grit, if I'm not mistaken. And we're just going to really clean up that edge a little bit. The knife is pretty sharp as it is, but we're just going to clean this edge up kind of nicely and get that handled. And then after that we'll go ahead and we're going to buff the blade out a little bit. I just wanted to kind of show how we cleaned up this edge a little bit and get to show you a little more of playing with the new belt grinder. Love this belt grinder. I'm telling you, it's a godsend compared to using that crummy little 1x30. You can get so much larger variety of belts and grits and what have you for this big grinder than I ever could dream of getting for that small one. That was part of the problem with the smaller belt grinder, was that you just didn't have a very big variety of grits that you could get for that, and it really limited you on what you could do as far as sharpening your blades and what have you. So with this bigger grinder here, I can get a lot nicer blades, or a lot nicer variety of belts, which makes for a lot better blade making, a lot better sharpening and everything. So yeah, we've got a pretty good edge on it. We're just about done with that, so I believe we're going to go ahead here in just a minute and end this clip, and we will be back in a minute. Alright guys, I'd like to apologize for being a moron. I forgot to turn on the boom mic. I've been using that lapel mic, but something happened to it when I was recording this, getting this ceiling prepped for paint. 2/3 of my video clips didn't have any sound, and the mics had new batteries. They were synced up. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, now that you can hear me, excuse me, I've decided to send this knife to my niece in Colorado. She fell in love with it when she saw a picture of it on Facebook, and so what we're doing is, since there was no sound on those first 2 clips, we're just cleaning this up, and I've used it quite a bit to cut material for my Carta and what have you. So it got a little bit dull, not bad. We're going to send this to my niece, and now we're going to just take it and hit it with the buffing wheel a little bit. We've got a nice edge on it again here, as you just saw in the previous clip. It's quite sharp, so that'll work. You can slice a finger off of that thing, so I don't know if you could even see that, but I don't think you could, but well, maybe we could stand to smooth it up just a hair more. I don't know, I don't want to get it so sharp that that a person can hurt themselves with it, you know, but on the other hand, you want it, wow, now it doesn't want to cut. It was cutting just fine a minute ago. I think sometimes it just depends on how you get it on the paper, but we could probably use a little bit of work right up in here. I think I'll just take that Trivec belt that I've got on there, and we'll try to just take, there's a little bit of burr right in here on this rounded part, so we'll clean that up just a little bit, then we'll throw it on the buffing wheel and shine it up a little more and get it sent off. So stick around. Oh yeah, that's much better. It doesn't stick up there on the end now. She will cut. So that's sharp enough. You know, she's not going to be shaving with it or anything. In fact, I don't even know if she'll use it. She may just put it up for display purposes, but if she does decide to use it, it will work really well. So let's get the buffing wheel out and let's shine that blade. So we've got our drilling device. I'm missing some parts for my new buffer I bought, so we've already hit this with a little bit of rouge. Now we're just going to kind of buff it a little, just a little light polish. And I think that'll be good. It's she's quite shiny and pretty, and you can kind of see Man, the lighting in here is horrible, but I guess you can get the drift. Trying to get this where the light will reflect off of it a little bit, but it's got a pretty cool pattern. The way we made this knife was I started out with gosh, what was it now? 9 layers, I think, maybe, of 3 different types of steel. We used 3 different types of steel. I had some 5160 leaf spring that I had drawn out into some smaller billets and cut it into small billets, and then we had some circular saw blade and some bandsaw blade, and I stacked it up. I believe 9 layers was the first initial weld on this. Oh, we've got a little bit of a nick right there that I need to take out. Yeah, I believe we stacked it up 9 layers. If I remember, it was a long time ago when I made this knife, but we stacked it up 9 layers, and then forge welded that together. Then we drew it out, cut it, folded it. Then we ended up with 18 layers, drew that out, cut it, folded it, ended up with 36 layers. And then once we got to 36 layers, I cut it again and drew each piece out and folded it, and ended up with 72 layers on each billet. And then we took those 2 billets and forge welded them together for 144 layers, and then drew this out and then made our blade. So that was the process of making this little knife, but I think my niece will really like it. She loved it in the pictures. We got a little scarring right here. I don't really know how that happened on this handle. Don't believe I can touch that up or anything, but we'll just clean it up a little bit, and we'll get it sent off to her. So I think we're done with that, other than there's a little nick right here in the blade. I think I touched the drill chuck with it just now while I was buffing it. So I'm going to take it back to the belt grinder. We'll get that little nick out of there, and we'll get it sent off to her. So there you have it, our little Damascus 144 layer paring knife. We're going to ship it off to my niece. She loved it when she saw it, and I think she'll be really happy with it. And then I'm going to have no more knives around here to play with or anything, so I'm going to have to get to making some more. We'll finish up that one I made for my brother. It just needs cleanup and final sharpening. So, but we're in the middle of trying to get this shop remodeled, so that's going to have to wait for a little bit. But I promised my niece I'd get this in the mail to her, so I needed to just take a little time out this morning and make sure it has a good edge on it. Just kind of polish it up a little bit, and we'll get it packaged up and sent off. So hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Stick around, hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell, and you'll know when I upload a new video. You never know what we'll be doing in this shop. Once we get this shop all remodeled, then we're going to get back into making knives, and fall is coming. So my work will start to slow down a little bit, and I'll get a little bit more time, days off here and there. This time of year I'm so busy at work, putting in so many hours that I'm just pretty hammered in the evening by the time I get home, and then on the weekends with all the yard work and normal homeowner crap that people have to do, I don't have a ton of time, and it's 110 degrees in this shop with no air in here or anything, so it's kind of tough to want to get the forge fired up and do things like that right now. But I do have this big fan over here, and that you can probably hear in the background. It keeps it kind of cool if I can you know, I'll put it up on the bench and have it blowing right on me while I'm forging, so it helps a little bit, but it's still just ungodly hot in here. So anyway, we'll get this finished up. All I need to do is just get it on the belt and get this little nick out of it right here, and we're going to get it shipped off. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.